is Rose Allen. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a senior manager of college success at Students Rising Above, a San Francisco-based organization that works mostly with students facing systemic barriers who are working to find and define their success in college, career, and life. I'm really excited to be here because there is something kind of special about sharing space with a lot of people who care deeply about the same things that you do, so really excited to be here with you all. I'm also the co-chair for the Communities of Practice Committee, which is one of 4 standing committees at NCCPC that members can participate in. And you're going to hear quite a bit more about those different committees a little bit later. We have a panel discussion on that. But today we are here as we conclude one academic year and launch another. There's a lot changing here in 2023, so this is a fantastic opportunity for philanthropists, community leaders, elected officials, and more to align on both the challenges and the opportunities that are in front of us today. Now more than ever, we need to work together across organizations, across cities, across counties, and as NCCPC's tagline states, together we can change the trajectory for hundreds of thousands of students in Northern California. With the support of philanthropists in and outside of this room, we can change the trajectory for millions because our collective impact work can touch students across the state. And so with that, I now welcome our co-host, the Foundation for a College Education, to say a few words. Please join me in welcoming Executive Director Elizabeth Wells.
Good afternoon. For those of you who haven't yet met me, I'm Elizabeth Wells, Director of FCE, and we are proud to co-sponsor this event today and are grateful to be here with so many wonderful NCCPC members, partners, and funders. So welcome. I am here today not just as the Director of FCE, but also as a first-generation Black student from a low-income family from the west side of Fresno. My path navigating selective schools where there were few students who were like me was a challenge. But I'm grateful for my support network, a lot of financial aid, a lot of sweat and tears, and all of those who sacrificed to pave the way before me. They allowed me to complete my journey. And with my degrees from UC Berkeley and Georgetown University Law Center, they have opened doors to places that I could only imagine, and some places I didn't even know existed. And like many of you, my vision is for higher education to be accessible to all who want to pursue it, including students who look like me or share a similar background. When more people have access to college, we all benefit. As the Haas Foundation explains, a college degree conveys undeniable power and value. On average, young people who graduate from college earn 80% more than those with a high school education. College graduates are more likely to vote and be civically engaged, and an educated workforce means lower unemployment, higher tax revenues, more innovation, and greater economic growth. Unfortunately, there are people outside of this room that prefer the status quo and who will stifle education equity initiatives and the benefits that result because of a misperception that they don't benefit as well. The recent SCOTUS decisions on affirmative action and student loan forgiveness are disappointing examples of just that. This is why it's so important for me personally and for FCE to be here, to be part of the conversation today, to discuss how we can ensure alternative pathways to higher education for underserved students. I want you to look around this room. This is a powerhouse coalition. Through our collective efforts to recruit and mentor students, provide academic and financial resources, collaborate with colleges and universities to design admissions and academic policies that benefit a broader range of students, and work to influence state and national policy, this coalition has the power to expand college access opportunities to over 150,000 students in Northern California. That's incredible. I want to encourage our partners and funders to continue to support the critical work of college access organizations like FCE. FCE has been serving students and their families in our community for over 27 years. We provide individualized, high-touch academic supports as well as soft skills training for our students. And 100% of our graduating high school seniors go to college. And those who complete our college program, 88% earn their 4-year degree in 6 years or less. FCE and our peers are the bridge to leveling the playing field. Our work is more important now than ever, and we appreciate your ongoing support. My hope is when we all leave here today, we are inspired and have a renewed commitment to our shared vision. Thank you for committing your time, energy, privilege, and financial capacity to help make this shared vision of expanding educational opportunities a reality. Thank you, Mayor, and everyone at NCCPC for your incredible work and for hosting this event. And a special thank you to everyone at CZI for their support of FCE and all the other college access organizations in the room and for sharing this beautiful space with us today. All right, everyone, let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We are so grateful to the Foundation for a College Education for partnering with NCCPC on this event and for making this gorgeous space available to us. I don't know if you peeked around the corner, but there's some really beautiful art down the hallway that we were poking around before. And with that, I now welcome our host, the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, to introduce us to their community space. So please join me in welcoming their Community Affairs Manager, Alma Pulido.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alma Pulido. I am the Community Affairs Manager here at the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. And I want to introduce my colleague, Jeremy Nguyen, who is the Community Space Program Manager. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any one of us. We launched the Community Space in January of 2020 to offer local organizations an accessible place to convene, connect, and collaborate. The Community Space is so much more. It serves as a community-driven hub and a space for healing and for bringing people together. As was mentioned, you may notice there is some artwork hanging in the space. What is unique about our space is that we partner with 3 anchor organizations to provide programming that is provided through our partners for the space, and the art program is one of those. It is to support local artists, so not only do the artists get to display their artwork in the space, we have an art exhibit launch, which is a huge event, and also we offer the artists opportunities to host workshops and to get a stipend for having their artwork in the space. So again, serving community artists. The space is currently accessible to CZI grantees, but we do have plans to expand access to all nonprofits in San Mateo County. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and welcome to the CZI Community Space.
Thank you, Alma. Thank you to the CZI Community Space. And I understand that our friends at Sobrato Philanthropies were the first to let us know about this venue, so shout out to Hannah. And thank you also to Jeremy for working closely with our event team to make this day happen. A few quick quick housekeeping items. In our reminder emails, we sent a Know Before You Go guide, which I think you all got because you made it here. But that's a resource that you can use today as well. So it includes a site map, so you know where to access the restrooms and everything else. Almost everything is like right that way down the hall. There is a free Wi-Fi available, so you'll see around the space there are little signs with the passwords. You can get online if you need to. There are 4 restrooms, 2 of them are gender neutral, and there's also a lactation room that is also a bathroom. Feel free to grab snacks and drinks at any time. And should you need to take a quick call, there are 2 phone rooms down the hallway on our left. We do encourage you to use those instead of stepping outside, as the space is locked, so we need to let you out, let you in if you do leave the general area. So there's little phone booths you can use. And if you have any questions or need anything during the event, you'll see folks like Mayor and Heather and Alex all have staff name tags, or as Alma mentioned, you can flag down Alma, Jeremy, anyone else to ask questions. So I hope that answers most of them about how to navigate this venue and take care of all your needs throughout the afternoon. To close out our welcome and introduce our keynote speaker, it is now my absolute pleasure to introduce the Executive Director of NCCPC, Meredith Curry-Nunez.
Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. It is such a pleasure to have you all here with us today. And I just want to add to the shout outs for Jeremy and the CZI community space. We're really grateful to be here. My name is Meredith Curry-Nunez. You can call me Mayor. My pronouns are she, her. I am proud to be the Executive Director of NCCPC. I'm also privileged to hold 2 other roles, one as a Community Engagement Advisory Board member for the Cradle to Career Data System, where I lift up the recommendations and the lessons learned from our members to the state's data system. And I'm proud to be involved with the steering committee for the Bay Area K-16 Collaborative, which you may learn a little bit about later. But this is a collaborative focused on San Francisco, San Jose, and the East Bay. Again, we really want to thank the Foundation for College Education for being a co-host. We have 2 sponsors. We're really grateful for their support for this event. We have Capital Group as well as the Golden State Warriors. Thank you to the CZI Community Space for making this available to nonprofit organizations. It's gorgeous. And really to all of you, thank you for being here, the 12 or more people on Zoom, the over 60 people here in Redwood City. It really means a lot for us to come together in a shared space, to celebrate each other and our work, as well as to thought partner around the solutions to the problems that we're all facing together. So I want to say that we have such a diverse group here, so just take a moment, see who you are. You might notice your friends, your partners, your colleagues, but this is the diverse community and ecosystem that we have forged together and who's here with us today. And we really just want to acknowledge you. We will have a little bit more time later to acknowledge you more directly, but for the sake of time, I'd love for you all to hear from our keynote first. So I'm going to encourage our team to get
in progress.
Ooh, what's that? Encourage our team to get ready for the next step. Could you go to the next slide? Perfecto. And with that, I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker. It's my privilege and honor to introduce Eloy Ortiz Oakley, President and CEO of the College Futures Foundation. As many of us know, Eloy joined CFF after serving as the Chancellor for the California Community Colleges, the nation's largest higher education system, serving mostly students of color, many of whom are low income and forced their families to attend college. There, he was instrumental in the development and adoption of the Vision for Success, a guiding set of goals and commitments designed to significantly improve the system's student outcomes. Eloy also served as a senior higher education advisor to the U.S. Secretary of Education, a member of the University of California Board of Regents, and so many other incredible roles. Today, he works in partnership with organizations and leaders around the state to ensure that more students who reflect California's diversity can complete their post-secondary journeys, access the opportunity for a better life, and participate in an inclusive and robust economy. Eloy is known as a leading voice on improving equity in higher education and for positioning institutions for global shifts in the workforce and the future of learning. College Futures believes that securing the college success of students facing the most formidable barriers will help us all thrive, our communities, economy, and state. Their staff and board, and here I believe we have Sarah present with us, are dedicated to ensuring that more students who reflect California's diversity can complete their post-secondary journeys and access the opportunity for a better life. Last, as some of you may not know, Eloy, in his role as Chancellor, along with Vice Chancellor of Government Relations, David O'Brien, were two of the first advisory council members for NCCPC. So it is for that reason, it really is a full circle moment for me, and I believe for some of our founding members, for Eloy to join us as a keynote today. As you'll hear shortly, Eloy sends his regards for not being with us in person. Because of the recent SCOTUS decisions, he's attending a convening in Washington, D.C. today. With the Department of Education, we're glad to have him over there representing our interests. But he is here with us in spirit and gave us his thoughts, which we'll play for you now. So please use your Zoom reactions for those on Zoom, and everyone here in this room, join me in welcoming Eloy Ortiz-Oakley. Thank you, everyone, and really appreciate Eloy's words. They're timely, and we want to provide a space for anybody who might want to just spend a few moments reacting to what was shared. I am grateful that Eloy stated partnerships can't be overstated, and this is really the space for that, whether it's community organizations partnering together, us partnering with our local campuses, partnering with employers. Partnerships are important. And we're grateful for everything that Eloy has done to lift up and champion college promises. While he's not here to take questions, we can still spend a few minutes reacting to what was just shared. So if anyone wants to share what they took away from Eloy's keynote, please raise your hand. If you're on Zoom, you use the raise hand feature. If you're in the room, you can raise your hand. We're going to take 1 to 2 in each space. I do believe we have one person on Zoom ready. So we'll start on Zoom first, and then if anyone here in the room wants to react. So I believe we have Libby Schaff online. So it's my pleasure to welcome our advisory council member, Libby Schaff. Libby was the 5th mayor of Oakland and serves as the interim executive director for Emerge California. I'm excited to share that Libby was recently honored with a fellowship at the Harvard Graduate School of Education for exemplary senior leaders of place-based collaborative action and cradle-to-career systems. Thanks to Libby's leadership, these convenings are a big part of what NCCPC does. She helped us to host our very first Mayor's Circle back in March 2021. So please join me in welcoming Libby, who I believe we may see on the screen, otherwise we'll definitely hear her voice. Appreciating Libby for sharing those words. We really appreciate you, Libby, from your early days as a supporter of NCCPC, and you deserve every honor that you get. Thank you for your leadership at all times. I don't believe we have any more people on Zoom, but we do have one person in the room who wanted to comment. Our sponsor, Capital Group, introducing Lorna Contreras-Townsend.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Really nice to see familiar faces in the room, and for those that I do not know, thank you. Welcome to our funders convening. My name is Lorna Contreras-Townsend. I've been with the coalition for a very long time, since 2019, when we all sat around at a table at PromiseNet at UC Berkeley, figuring out how we come together for collective impact, as Mary stated today. I'm currently with Capital Group, and I lead social impact for the company, and on the Zoom somewhere is my leader, Alexis Rosenblum, who is head of sustainability and social responsibility for CG as well. We are excited to be here with the coalition. I'm excited to connect with all of you today. We've committed a 3-year strategic partnership with NCCPC centered on research and data. And as Mr. Oakley was speaking, kind of 2 reflections that I was having. The first one is this idea of student-centered partnerships, and the idea that each one of you has a different approach and a unique model in which you serve students. Collectively, we can start to begin to shape what it means to fill those gaps together. And a lot of that work needs to be done in community, and with you all bringing the students to the table. And my second reflection being that He spoke about bringing the community to the table, and I like to challenge philanthropy to think about that differently. Let the community rebuild the table, and let's have you all come bring the students, their voices, their families, to help us shape what a better tomorrow looks like. So thank you again for your partnership, for being here and present with us. We're excited to connect with you all over the next 3 years, and again, appreciate all of your hard work.
Thank you so much, Lorna. Really appreciate your words. Is there anybody else who wanted to say something? We will have another opportunity for share-outs, so if you want to keep your thoughts for right now, know that we'll have 2 other opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to our MC Rose. I just want to thank again Eloy for his keynote and for Libby and Lorna for sharing today. Go ahead, MC.
First time I've ever felt tall. Thank you, Eli. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Lorna, for sharing. Thank you, Libby. I am so grateful that we could be here together for this. We are a diverse group in person and on Zoom. And as Eli stressed, we do need to work together to face the challenges ahead. So let's take a moment to recognize all of us who are here both on Zoom and in person. And because we do have upwards of 50 people in this space, we won't be able to name everyone, but we encourage you to stand up if you're called. So I'd like to begin with NCCPC's members and advisory council. So if you're an advisory council member, a steering committee member, a champion, an individual advocate, please stand up or raise your hand. Everyone, please give a round of applause. Use your Zoom reaction to celebrate our coalition of 55 members, over half of whom are here with us today. And you can see, there we go. Members are College and Promise and Neighborhood Promise. We have cities, advocacy organizations, scholarship programs, and more. We are also grateful to have 3 of our advisory council members here with us today. Assistant Vice Chancellor for Strategic Enrollment, Dr. April Gramo. Libby Sheff, Interim Executive Director of Emerge California and the 50th Mayor of Oakland. And College Promise CEO, Dr. Martha Cantor. So thank you for being here. Next, I'd like to acknowledge the funders and partners who are here with us today. If you are on the next slide, please stand up or raise your hand on Zoom. So, Lindy and for us today. Yes, funders. Let's give a round of applause. We are also grateful to have with us President Dr. Rowena Tamaning and Dean Renee Alvarez. We have 16 funders here with us today, including NCCPC supporters Blue Shield of California, Capital Group, Crankstart, Excite Credit Union, Golden State Warriors Community Foundation, Skyline Foundation, previously Yellow Chair, Sobrato Philanthropies, Stupski, and Tipping Point. And we would also like to acknowledge our elected officials and esteemed guests in the room. So we'll give a round of applause to Alameda County Office of Education Trustee Genevieve Cole, Eastside Union High School Board Trustee Lorena Chavez, and Soto Dianza Community College District Board Trustee Patrick Aarons. All right, and before I bring Mayor back to talk about NCCPC's impact and vision, I'm going to encourage all of you to pull out your phones, and we are going to grab our exit ticket. So, please take a picture of our fancy QR codes so that you can access the form. And whenever you have a moment today, if you could please take a few minutes to complete us and let us know how you feel about the event and if you'd like to get more involved with NCCPC. And with that, I'll turn it back to Mayor.
Thank you, Rose. So we are going to have a wonderful panel of our members because we would love to hear from you, for you to hear from our members what collective impact work looks like and what it means. Before that, though, I thought I would give you a quick introduction to NCCPC. I want to start by sharing that the Northern California College Promise Coalition is a coalition Our footprint is 12 counties, and we care deeply about education equity and economic mobility. We believe that when we make higher education more accessible and affordable, we can end income and wealth disparities. As a coalition focused on collective impact, NCCPC staff provide the backbone function, and our common agenda is to see improved career, earnings, and life outcomes, especially for low-income, first-generation BIPOC students who we refer to as multiply marginalized and underserved. Our coalition started with 11 members in 2019 and today has 55 members. That is 5x growth in just 4 years. That's huge. Collectively, our members are supporting over 200,000 students from Sacramento to the 9 Bay Area counties down to Stockton. And because some of our members are cradle to career, that means our students include students who are PK to 20 and beyond. Because many of our members are also college promises and scholarship programs, collectively our members are distributing millions of dollars in financial aid to students from the region. Our why can be explained through our root cause analysis. Last year, thanks to Dr. Jennifer Arady, who I believe is on the Zoom with us today, last year we conducted a root cause analysis with a small ad hoc committee of our members. We identified that the issues preventing the creation of equitable systems and policies for student success were these 6 identified here on the screen. And if you're taking a picture, know that our year-end report has this bad boy, so please make sure to grab our year-end report postcard on your table. Those 6 issues are 1, misaligned policies, 2, siloed programs, 3, limited program bandwidth, 4, fragmented data and information, 5, lack of student-centered approaches, and 6, lack of first-generation college-going culture. And we believe that these are the urgent issues that need to be addressed that not any one of our members or organizations can tackle alone. To tackle these root causes, we need everyone to work together. Our founding members knew this when they came together in 2019 at PromiseNet. I want to take this moment to thank our members who were part of the coalition last year. That's the map that you're seeing on the screen. It makes me so happy because the map last year was smaller and it was more zoomed in. I know it's exploded. But many of the members that you see on the slide are here in the room and on Zoom. You saw them stand up earlier. And this is the map updated to show all of our members as of today. We're especially excited to see our membership expanding deeper into the Central Valley. Now if you're wondering, the map aims to reflect where our members may be housed or headquartered. It doesn't demonstrate where they serve students. A lot of our members are serving students across cities and counties. I want to thank the West Contra Costa Public Education Fund, or Ed Fund West, for their fiscal sponsorship. I believe the Executive Director, Robert Wentz, is on Zoom with us. As far as our governance, we have a steering committee who guide and approve our strategy and such as our policy agenda. Excuse me. The steering committee's chair is David Silver with the California Volunteers Fund, who you'll get to meet in a moment. He was previously with the Oakland Mayor's Office. And our vice chair is Janae Aptaker with Blue Shield of California, who sends her regards. She was previously with Stockton Promise. We have 4 committees, which you're going to learn about in a moment when I bring up our member panel. And we also have short-term project-based ad hoc committees who tackle small projects for us, for example, our evaluation plan. Last, we engage our members, their staff, employers, colleges, policymakers, and more through our committee projects and campaigns. We hosted over 60 meetings and events last year, and over 700 people from students to practitioners participated. Our 4 standing committees, which I'm excited for you to learn about, are campus partnerships, communities of practice, policy, and workforce. They each are aimed at one or more of the primary drivers that we've identified as having the highest impact of improving outcomes for multiply marginalized and underserved students. For a coalition or network, a driver diagram is our theory of change. As one example, we have coherent cross-institutional data systems and use processes, and secondary drivers that we identified are legal and technical infrastructure supports for intersectional student-level data sharing across institutions. You'll hear shortly from our committees what they're doing to explore data sharing with colleges, employers, and how to support the state's cradle-to-career data system implementation. So please join me in taking a moment to applaud our committee leaders for their commitment, selflessness, and contributions. Who you're seeing on the slide are our co-chairs. Join me in applauding, y'all. On Zoom, these are actions. I'm not going to name them all. I'm going to trust our member panel to do that. But our coalition's member-driven. They decide in committees what they want to achieve together and how they're going to get there each year. We owe our achievements to our committee co-chairs who go above and beyond to make sure our monthly meetings are thoughtful, productive, inclusive, goal-oriented, and end in actions. I want to take a moment to also shout out the two staff who work the most with the committees. Deputy Director Barr, pronoun she, her, and Program and Operations Coordinator Alex, pronoun she, her. We have documentation, toolkits, templates, and a whole suite of resources that our members access because our team is diligent around documentation around our learnings. There is so much more that I want to tell you about NCCPC, but I'll let the members tell you for me. Because I know our member panel is going to share a lot of great information and opportunities with you, I want to highlight now the resources that you have. Today is actually the launch of our year-end report for last year, so I'm excited to share that with you. And on your table, you'll see a postcard like the one on the left. If you scan that QR code, our year-end report is electronic. For those of you who dig paper better, we have a few limited options, so come see me. You also found postcards about our AB 288 Know Your Rights toolkits. Scholarship displacement and AB 288 is something you're going to hear a lot today. AB 288 is a law banning the practice of scholarship displacement in California, and our Know Your Rights toolkits designed for students, providers, as well as colleges are available now, and the goal is to promote these across the state. Also, again, thank you to Dr. Martha Cantor, CEO of College Promise. We're excited to have partnered with them for the second time on a report. Just last week, we published a case study looking at child savings accounts and College Promise integrations here in California with several of our members who are here highlighted. And we hope you'll check that out as well. When you complete our exit ticket, there's actually going to be a list of things where you can be like, I want that, send that to me, I want that. So please make sure to complete it. And last, we have a few events coming up. So if you're like, oh, my friends are going to have FOMO for not being here, there's another opportunity to have folks show up. Want to make sure that you, for local practitioners, we have a financial aid workshop in partnership with CSAC and the San Jose Libraries on October 4th. Registration opens soon. And our third Mayor's Circle is going to be November 2nd, and that's co-hosted by Hayward Mayor Mark Salinas, as well as the Education Trust West. And we're very appreciative of our early sponsors for the event, Excite Credit Union and Chabot College. Hope to see some of you there. This is a convening for funders. That is a convening for public officials. We believe that we need to continue to bring diverse stakeholders to the same tables with us. And with that, thank you everybody for letting me brag about our coalition and our members. You can tell I am very proud of the work that we're doing. Oops. So with that, let me introduce our member panel. So as I'm going to start to introduce you, but if I can have David Silver, Catherine Zepeda, and Rose Allen come to the chairs at their seats. And on Zoom, Nadja and Caitlin to get ready. The objective is simple for this panel. We want our members to tell you what their experiences are and why collective impact matters. You'll meet our committee chairs and members and learn more about what happens at NCCPC through a series of questions that our facilitator will ask. After that, we'd like to have a discussion with the funders and investors who have joined us today. We'd love the opportunity for you as our audience to respond to the questions our panelists have prepared so that you have a chance to react to what you learned about NCCPC. So if I could have Rose and Catherine and David come and sit in these beautiful chairs that are ready for you. And there's waters on the floor if you need them. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panel. So introducing our facilitator, steering committee chair, David Silver, director of workforce for California Volunteers Fund. We also have Communities of Practice, Campus Partnerships co-chair, Catherine Zepeda, chief of staff to the CEO for Beyond 12. And you all know our MC, Rose Allen, who's the Communities of Practice co-chair. On Zoom, we have Nadja Jepson, who's a policy committee member, is Senior Director of Financial Aid Programs and Scholarships for College Track. And we have our Workforce Partnerships Co-Chair, Caitlin Endo, Career Development Manager for Making Waves Education Foundation. I'll go ahead and give my mic to David, and I'll bring the other mic for Yiba.
Thank you. All right, it's good to see everybody. You got everybody excited here? That's not what I wanted to hear. Is everybody ready? All right, good. Can we give it up for the amazing Executive Director, Mayor Curry, who made this all possible? Awesome. So let's get started. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have 30 minutes of incredible insights as to what NCCP truly is. First, we're going to have 4 questions. First question. It's a really tough one. Who are you and what committee are you involved in? The speaking order will be as follows, and you'll have 2 minutes each. We'll start with those in person first, and then move on to the Zoom. Ladies and gentlemen, a person that I was privileged to be with at College Track, Catherine Zuckerberg.
Hi everyone, welcome. It's always a pleasure and privilege to be at an NCCPC event. Can we give a shout out to the NCCPC team because they are just amazing in all ways. But I'm Catherine Cepeda, I'm Chief of Staff to the CEO at Beyond 12. I am so excited to be in community because I am a first generation college student. I am from Jalisco, Mexico, by way of Oakland, California. I was a part of College Track. I've gotten the privilege to work with FCE, Richmond Promise, and so many amazing organizations that are represented here. And I am the Campus Partnerships Co-Chair with my Co-Chair Allison, and so it's a privilege to be a part of this committee.
Hey, you already know me, but hello, I am Rose again. I come from the country of Paraguay, but I grew up here in Northern California, and this is my home. And I am also co-chair for the Communities of Practice Committee here at NCCPC.
Thank you. Can we now hear on Zoom from Caitlin?
Hi everybody, great to be here. My name is Caitlin Endo, she, her pronouns, and I'm the Career Development Manager at Making Waves Education Foundation. I was born and raised in Richmond, California, and so I feel really privileged to come back to Contra Costa County to serve students there. And I am a part of the Workforce Committee. I am one of their co-chairs.
Great. Let's go to Naja.
Hi, my name is Naja Jobson. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am starting my 9th cycle of scholarship administration at College Track this year. I am on the policy committee, and I grew up in the Bay Area. I also live in Richmond, and I was raised by a single mom. I went to community college, UC Davis, and then was an international student.
Thank you. And finally, me. My name is David. That was supposed to be funny. It's okay. My name is David Silver. For the past 2 decades, I've been fighting for educational equity. First as a teacher and a principal at Think College Now, and then as the CEO of College Track, and most recently as the Director of Education with Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. And in that time, I found students like Luis Galvan, who was with me at all of those stages, were getting to and through college, but I wanted to make sure we finished it and make sure they got a job with upward mobility to close economic gaps. So now I'm the Director of Workforce for the California Volunteers Fund to try to make sure all kids from low-income backgrounds can have access to jobs. And I am the founding chair of the steering committee. With all due respect, as great as the founding chair is, we also have some other amazing people here that we call OGs. Yes, in 2019, when we were with Martha Cantor in Kalamazoo starting this and figuring it out, I'm excited to see several of those founders here, so I want to specifically recognize them. And if they are here, raise your hand on the Zoom or whatnot. You can make some noise too. Tracy from 10,000 Degrees. Elizabeth from Students Rising Above. Lang from everything, but also now with Head Trust West. Lorna, also originally from something else, and now with Capital Group. Patrice, formerly with me in the mayor's office, and now with Epic and Poverty, California, with someone named Michael Tubbs. Samra from Oakland Promise, and now with MoveWorks. I'm really excited about how we can do that. That'll be more at happy hour. And then Jesse, who originally had this vision and was one of those key founders from Richmond Promise, and now with UC Berkeley. Let's give it up for our OG founders. So, and we can't give it up with, the OGs are great and we like start things, but then there's that person who actually makes things happen and a reality. And can we give it up one more time to Mayor Curry? I mean, going from like 11 to 55 is pretty good. Now the steering committee, I'm not going to go through all of it, but we're governance. We're the governance part of the coalition. We approve things, and most importantly, we hire and don't fire mayor. We also help with getting more funds in and more partnerships. When I started, I worked with Tony Eiton from the California Endowment, who actually has helped us to fund for the last 3 years. Now, I say that in part so that if you're funding for the first year, you can remember that you can fund again. Again, it's supposed to be a joke, but all good, but serious. The steering committee puts our skin in the game because we know that this collective impact is clear. And through what you're going to hear now, you're going to hear why it is such a leveraged and impactful investment. And we hope that you'll not only think about donating money, but also think about those connections and sharing the AB 288 toolkits so we can move our theory into action for those million students that we're going to be supporting. And now I'll pass it back to Catherine. Sorry, I should probably ask you the question. Number 2, who are the members involved in your committee, and do you have a small working group, or is it large in size? Interesting question.
Very interesting question. I do have to say that we have incredible members. And the last time I was at an NCCPC event, I made a comment about our committee and might have started a competition, so I'm not gonna do that. But our members are really, truly amazing. So we have FCE, KIP NorCal, Richmond Promise, Students Rising Above, Stockton Scholars, One Goal, MoneyThink, NROC. And so there's so many members that join to our monthly meetings, some who are not able to join but still connect and take the time to fill out our surveys. And we have gotten to learn so much from our members. So while we have plans and things that we want to accomplish every year, this past year we really leaned on to our members to learn because we realized just how much power exists within that working group that there is no way that we could have determined the best path forward without them. And so we're super grateful on the Campus Partnerships Committee for everybody who shows up day in and day out to support our work.
Thank you, Catherine, and as much as we love Rose, let's go to the Zoom first for Naja.
Thank you. So on the policy committee, we have 2 co-chairs. We have Dr. Christopher Nellam of the Education Trust West. We have Harshan Khazravi of USPIRE. We also have Students Rising Above, Braven, Oakland Undivided, CSU East Bay, California Competes, Breakthrough Silicon Valley, End Poverty in California, Public Advocates, 10,000 Degrees, and then there are 3 of us who are on an individual capacity as an advocate member. So there's myself, and there's David Silver, you, and Darcy Harvey. And I guess that seems like a big group.
Thank you, and then let's go to Caitlin. Rose, you're next.
Yeah. So in the Workforce Committee, we have a variety of members. I won't read through all of them, but we have organizations dedicated to college access and success work. We also have representatives from a few public charter schools, as well as founders of a few startups that are focused on workforce development and career access. And even though we all have our own kind of respective missions and visions and approaches to this work, we all really share the belief that getting to and through college is, of course, a major accomplishment, but the work doesn't really stop there. It doesn't end there. So career support is really vital in ensuring students can achieve economic stability and hopefully mobility. And if that's something that they want for themselves, we want to make sure that we're giving them access to that. And then on kind of the other side of things, our key partners externally at this point are Gap, Old Navy, Management Leadership for Tomorrow, also known as MLT, and Blue Shield of California.
Thank you. Rose.
So Communities of Practice Committee, as you may gather from the name, we have a variety of practitioners, so people who work directly with students. And I think we kind of have like the full spectrum of folks who do work with students. So we have teachers, we have mentors, advisors, counselors, program managers like myself, and folks that come from organizations, schools, individuals who maybe work with students privately or in different capacities. So yeah, it's a pretty big variety, which also gives us a pretty broad kind of insight on like what are the different challenges that we're seeing and like how are we experiencing things similarly or differently. And so we get to learn from each other and then share ideas and share best practices and things.
Thank you. I'll close us out on this question. As far as the steering committee, this past year we had Mayor Sheff, who you heard from before, cities like Oakland, Ricardo, cities like San Jose. This upcoming year we have San Francisco led by Mayor Breed, as well as Hayward led by Mayor Mark Salinas. We'll be hosting one of the next big events, so if you're thinking about that, in November. And it has College Promise founders like Oakland Promise, Richmond Promise, Stockton Scholars, as well as Rancho Cordova Promise in the city of Rancho Cordova. It also has the college access programs like some people you heard before, 10,000 Degrees, One Goal Bay Area, Students Rising Above. And we have nonprofits developing the tools that we use like Beyond 12, the NROC project, and advocacy organizations like Ed Trust West. Our members also now include San Jose Promise, Miletus Promise out of San Jose College, Go Public Schools, Oakland Undivided, and many more. I want to take also a moment to give a shout out to the organizations who participated as steering committees this past year. Even when members change their membership level, I did that. What is powerful is that they stay engaged because they find the network valuable. And I actually do want to just name that. I think that's one of the things that's unique here. Like usually you have like the position and then they're in and then, but like whether it's Lorna or whether it's there are many, at Lang, myself, others, there are so many people that were in one organization, left it, and then decided, I want that next organization to be a part of it. And I think that speaks to what NCCP is. In our end of the year report, you're going to see organizations like Brave and Bay Area, Improve Your Tomorrow, Making Waves Education, also a funder, Money Think, San Jose Public Library, and Scholar Match. I hope that the funders in the room and on the Zoom will think about not only this as benefiting NCCPC, but also how it impacts your own organizations that you are funding as well. To close, I do want to say why the City of Oakland got involved as a founder, for those of you wondering why like cities might engage. So like when we were starting the Oakland Promise, it was great, like we're getting millions of dollars in, and it's going to kids, we thought. And then we learned about the fact that scholarships were displaced. So even though the funders were putting money in and we were giving it to the kids may have actually not gotten more money. So that's why we were like, yeah, well, you know, it's Mayor Schaff and all that, like, well, we're gonna make the change, all that. But it actually didn't happen. Like one city, one organization cannot make a policy change. So therefore we said, like, how do we actually make this impact? So over the next 3 years, everyone got together and they ended up changing that so 1 million students will not have their money displaced. 288. Yeah, you can clap if you want. And I think the other thing is, I think the way I like to describe NCCPC when funders are like, so why this and why not, you know, you work for college travel, why don't you just do it for that? I think the idea is about NCCPC is leverage and impact. The idea is that you can do a lot more, that basically NCCPC does the things that a lot of our organizations cannot do alone, whether it's business partnerships and campuses that don't want to just like talk to one organization or 100 people, but want to talk to, as the vision that Mayor talked about, hundreds of thousands, or have their partnerships be across that, it's a much more sustainable investment as we go forward. And with that, we will go on to the next question. Question 3, and we're going to start with Catherine here. What have the committees achieved this past year? What is one win you're most proud of that you want to make sure people in this room or on the Zoom know about? Catherine?
Thanks, David. So in this past year, we were very ambitious because we felt that we had to be, right? Like looking at the current landscape, everything that's happening in our communities and education, there's no room to not be ambitious, right? Our students deserve it, and our students need support. And so we piloted our partnership with CSU East Bay and gathered a lot of input from our different members, and we learned a lot. We launched this partnership, and we got to experience what does it mean to build a meaningful partnership? What does it mean to dedicate capacity? How do we coordinate services? And then also, we had a student ambassador program that Alex was leading in the CSU East Bay campus. And so there was a lot of learning in this year as we were thinking about, well, how do we scale this to then be able to launch more partnerships with colleges and universities. And so we got a lot to learn from this pilot.
Great. Caitlin.
Yeah, so this past year, we continued to focus on the implementation of our Old Navy and MLT partnership. And really similar to Catherine campus partnerships, I feel like we've learned a lot. And I'm really proud of how much we've learned. And so now we have a better sense of how to move forward with scoping for future workforce partnerships, like developing MOUs and collaborations needed to make those partnerships successful and make sure that our students feel supported throughout the whole process. So very similar, lots of learning, and I'm excited for all the things to come.
And Nadja.
So I'm going to start with a little definition of scholarship displacement because I'm sure some people in the audience haven't heard of this, which is part of the problem. So you've heard about AB 288, which is the California ban on scholarship displacement. And this came to be because something that happens at all colleges in the US, but it is not very known, is that if a student, what can happen is a student can win an outside scholarship and they can potentially lose that money dollar for dollar out of their institutional aid. This is something that I encountered as a student, and then but I didn't know the name of it until I started working as a scholarship coordinator, and I was seeing just how widespread this was, but it was always kind of coming as a shock to students. And even as someone who was supposed to be looked at as the expert, I didn't really understand what was happening either. I have always been very passionate about this and trying to get as many people to know about this, and so I was really excited to learn about NCCPC and the work that they were doing. So this past year has been extremely exciting. AB 288 was, which was authored by Assembly members Calderon and Bonta, was actually signed into law in late 2022, making scholarship displacement, banning it moving forward. So we're going to be seeing that for the first time this fall. We also have toolkits available that Mayor shared earlier, and they're available to check out. Our policy committee also does a very good job of matching different skills together, so different people might have interests and skills and ways that we can move things forward. And so one thing that I got to do with our former co-chair was we co-authored an op-ed about scholarship displacement for EdSource, and we were able to get people that enjoyed writing, editing, people who were connected to the media and different publications, also people who were connected to assembly members, and it was really exciting to work with this group of people. We also did an awareness campaign, which is a financial aid series. I participated as a speaker, but we had some really big names in California, like Office of the President, CSU, MoneyThing, Child Savings Accounts. This is all free and available on YouTube, and it's really, really great resources. And then kind of a hot off the presses is that we submitted a proposal to the California Student Aid Commission Affordability Summit, which is in November, and we hope that anyone who is in education equity is there. Like Mayor said earlier, the child savings accounts and the College Promise case study are available. You can see that the policy committee does a lot. We also have already established our policy agenda for 3 years, and we are in year 1 of that. And I can pass it on now.
So can we just take a moment right now and give an applause for all that has been accomplished through these committees here? Oh, I think I forgot Rose again. Rose, we're kind of seeing this a little bit, so you can just like say, stop. Okay, go ahead.
Well, okay, we don't have a 3-year plan yet, but I am very proud of the Communities of Practice Committee. We've taken a lot of time this spring to kind of craft what we wanted this committee to look like together, so it's very member constructed and member led, and we have turned it into something of like a learning community and learning space. And I think what's been really nice about that is that as practitioners, which I know a lot of folks experience, like there's a lot of to-dos and there's a lot of like tasks, and we didn't want it to be just like another thing that you have to do is like go to your committee meeting, right? So we wanted it to be like feel like a good use of time, feel like a place where we could learn from each other, and it's become a really lovely space where folks feel really comfortable to kind of share some of the challenges and feel like we can share when we're feeling a little bit burned out. And in addition, we can learn from each other. So we've been able to highlight some of the members and the work that they're doing and kind of learn like how are they approaching the different topics that are interesting to us. Or we've also welcomed other guests or folks like David to come and chat with us just to kind of learn from the expertise of our members. So that has been our big accomplishment this year.
Thank you, Rose. And let me try that one more time. I am so excited about what we've accomplished. Let's give it up for all the committees. So, in terms of, if I reflect as the steering committee chair, like what I'm most proud of, or what I think may have the biggest impact, I think that there's so many. I mean, I think the two things I would say is one, NCCPC allows you to figure out what you need. So a lot of times people are like, I don't have much time, I don't know if I should come in, I don't know if I'm really in the policy, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're not in the policy, then join the communities of practice. If you're not into partnerships, then join the workforce. So you can decide what you do. So in every single committee, there has been accomplishments. I'm still excited about when we started the Campus Partnerships Committee with then President Leroy Morishita and Patrice Berry, who now works at Epic, to actually start that Cal State Hayward partnership, and I guess Cal State East Bay, and then also what those partnerships are going to look like going forward with other campuses that you're going to hear about. And it was a privilege to be able to go back to my roots, and I appreciate Barb G and talk about family engagement from when I was a TCN principal with the communities of practice. And then also, I would be remiss as the Director of Workforce for California Volunteers in partnership with the Governor, that workforce is really important. So that was, okay, yeah. Anyway, so the amount of things that have been done and that are going to be done, I'm obviously very excited about that too. That said, the thing that I think is monumental, like if we just did that, this would be a really great organization. But what makes NCCP an exceptional organization is AB 288. 3 years we worked on something that so many of people in this room, so many students from low-income backgrounds have struggled with for decades. An inequity that made it so that our students were not going to be able to graduate, in part because something they didn't even realize, and we didn't realize. But the coalition that we built, and I want to be clear here, coalitions, you got 10s, 20s, I think it was over 100 organizations, nonprofits, cities, and 200 people signed on to AB 288. That is rare. To have funders and cities and mayors and nonprofits and business leaders and other people all together, an advocacy organization, that's what made those legislators listen. And that is what ultimately is going to allow us to make sure that our students and our visions are going to be a reality when they may not have been before. So with that, I will pass it over to, I would also want to, I want to also say Mara's leadership, which I've talked about before. We partnered through her leadership, partnering with co-sponsoring Scholarship of America, a national scholarship management organization, SoCalCan, a network down in LA. So we also partnered not just with the Northern California Coalition and all the people up here, but the Southern California and others, so that we could make the impact that we needed to make. And our last question, and if I'm boring you, I apologize, but we're gonna stay in here for one more question, and then we get to the part where you're gonna get to say hey, what do I want to get involved with this year as well? So start thinking about that as well. What is one goal, and I'm not talking about the organization, that your committee has set that you are excited about? This time, I'm going to do what I think I should have done before, maybe once or twice. Let's start with the zoo. Nadja, what's one goal your committee has set you're excited about?
You'll see a theme here. Be a consistent advocate against scholarship displacement in California.
All right, let's give it up. Thank you. Let's go to Rose.
One of our goals for this coming year is to highlight 3 members within our committee meetings. So whether that's learning from their expertise or having them bring a challenge that we can work on together, kind of like a case study, or we kind of brainstorm on it, but we want at least 3 of these kind of member-led sessions.
Thank you. Caitlin?
Yeah, so this upcoming year, the Workforce Committee will be continuing to maintain and implement the workforce partnerships we already have, and we have plans to establish additional partnerships with employers who can offer internship and early career opportunities for all of our students who also align with our values. And then kind of part 2 of the goal is we'll be focusing on building some infrastructure and streamlining processes on both the partnership side with the employers, but as well with the student side of things. So things like meeting with partners regularly, gathering data, as well as outreach strategies to NCCPC members and their constituents to ensure that all opportunities are visible and accessible to all students.
Great. And closing it out with the esteemed Catherine Spade.
Our goals for this year are really to focus on 2 prospective partnerships, one with UC Merced and another one with San Jose City College. So based on the learnings from last year, we were very intentional about how we created the MOUs, and then also we're co-designing with our the members of our committee about what does it mean to build a case management model given the collective impact and given the collective students that we're serving, to ensure that we're sharing information across the partnerships that we have. So from our members to these 2 institutions, and then also vice versa. And so how can we make sure that we're timely and we're flagging, the things that our students need the most, but then also working together to proactively address them. So we're very excited about that.
Thanks. And on my end, I think the 3 things that I'm most excited about, first and foremost, is just supporting Mayor and her leadership and her amazing team, as well as the amazing committee leaders that we have in the committees. If we do these goals that you just heard, it will be a wild success, and we want to make sure that we support them in whatever way we can. The second thing is we want to also try to launch an evaluation to make sure that we know what our impact is really, what the actual impact is in terms of as we go forward, to make sure that we can maximize that as well. And then I think the third thing is to keep hosting convenings like this. It's not just because I like them, but also, and there's a happy hour after, but it's also that it just brings people together, and especially in the post-COVID era, I think, hopefully post-COVID era, that we're able to do that, and actually be able to make connections with people that maybe you didn't make connections with before, that can help your own organization and ultimately help our big goal of equity. I do want to highlight that thing I said in November 2nd, we were probably like, there's something that I need to do on November 2nd, but I couldn't remember what it is. Yes, it is the mayor's circle. So there's two pretty massive events that we have. We have many events, but one is this one, the Funders Circle, and the other is the mayor's circle. And the cool part is like mayors can come to the Funders Circle, funders can come to the mayor's circle, all the organizations can come to all of them. That is going to be led by Hayward Mayor Mark Salinas, and other elected officials across the region will be there. And then also want to thank Ed Trust West, not just because Lang is on their staff, but also for co-hosting this circle with us too. And then the final thing I'll say, I said three, I always say three just because it's easy, and then there's like a fourth. The final thing I'll say is taking theory to action. It is great that we were able to work for 3 years as a coalition to get AB 288 as a law. But it's not going to mean anything if our students don't know about it. And that's why I'm excited to work with all of you, the funding community, the organizations, the people who know our students, to make sure that we can use the toolkits that we have developed to make sure that those scholarships are actually not displaced. And finally, can we give a round of applause and use your Zoom reactions to thank the members for what they've just shared with us today. Let's try that one more time. Can we give a round of applause for our researchers? Giving a round of applause for NCCP members who are the reason why our committees are effective and succeeding. If you are a member, if you could stand up one more time and be recognized, or raise your hand, or do that Zoom thing and emojis and all that. Thank you, members, for making this possible. If you do have questions or ideas and want to get involved with any of the committees, you can let us know by completing that exit ticket, which again was from the barcode before. Also, you now have access to, I think, the first ever year-end report, is that right? Yes, our inaugural year-end report. And you can find details about what the panelists have shared as well. And now I get to pass it on to Mary.
Thank you so much, David. And thank you so much to our panel. We're not done yet, but again, if y'all need the restrooms, you need food and drinks, you know where to find it. Now we want to do a Q&A, but rather than y'all asking our members questions, we're going to put the questions out to the audience. And our panelists are already prepared with their questions. I have a mic, you have a mic. We only have 2 mics, so for folks in the room who may want to respond to those questions, I'm going to give you my microphone. So let's go ahead and have Rose start us off with the first question.
All right, so based on what you've heard about our committees and what we do, what is one thing that caught your attention, or something that surprised you, or something you'd like to learn more about?
Wonderful. We have our first hand raised. Look how fast I got to her. Thank you so much to Dora, our site credit union, for wanting to share a few words.
Thank you. Sorry to make you all twist towards the back. My name is Dora Bay and I work at Excite Credit Union. And one thing that stood out to me was what you mentioned about changing roles and being in different positions. I come from, where's Sean Easter? He left right through Silicon Valley, San Jose Calso, EAOP, and I'm now at a credit union. Did I plan this? No, of course not. Thanks, COVID, for part of the change. But I so appreciate being in community relations and on the donor side now. Am I talking too close to it? I feel like I hear an echo. Okay, okay. And I think that we're starting to diversify who we see in philanthropy more versus just 10, especially 20, 25 years ago. And to bring in folks who are in the space. I like to joke with people that I feel like I'm cheating because I'm from higher education, equity, access in the nonprofit world. And now to be at a credit union, although we are 501c14, not-for-profit, it's still very different than being at a 501c3. And I think that that perspective brings a lot. So I really appreciate you pointing that out. And then secondly, something that stood out to me was just how valuable it is to work in collaboration with one another, because only in that way does change happen at scale. And I think, of course, that through policy is the only way really, and through government relations work, that will make change systematically and long-term. And then through collaborations comes the implementation. I think of like All In for FAFSA, I think of changes there around FAFSA completion, and then a new FAFSA indicator coming down. So only when we work collectively to gain that information and implement with students can that really happen. So those are the two things that stood out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll have Catherine ask the second question.
So based on what you're focused on this year and your theories of change as foundations, how do you see us fitting in?
I think this time we're going to start on Zoom, and I believe we have Alexis Rosenblum from Capital Group, if we'd like to bring her up. But first we'll have Lorna start, and then she'll pass it to Alexis.
Hi, Alexis, I'll start and then have you begin. So again, 3-year partnership with NCCPC. This partnership is going to be focused on research and wealth disparities in California and across the U.S. At the root of what you all do is economic mobility, and Capital Group is committed to the well-being of its clients, its associates, and the communities that we do business with. Focus on the mission to improve people's lives through successful investing. So we'll be tapping all of you to learn from you. We also are wanting to offer that we have an abundance of experience among our associates across the U.S. Associates are what we call our employees, our staff. Before coming here, we pulled some data, and our San Francisco office has 2 coalition members. I'd love to see that grow as active community partners, part of the Capital Group family. So know that you can reach out to me. Mayor has my contact information. I will be here this afternoon. Let's talk. Funders, let's talk. Exchange notes as well. Again, come together for collective impact. Alexis, anything on your end?
I would just echo everything that Lorna said. We're super excited to partner with NCCPC. We love the entire just theme of the organization around being better together and really partnering to champion both educational equity, which is very much related from our perspective to the inequities in wealth that we see across the country. And so yeah, super excited to partner with all of you. And we have, an entire organization behind us who are also really excited at getting to know many of the organizations in the room.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alexis, and thank you, Lorna. We're going to move to questions to our panelists who are on Zoom. So I believe the next one is Caitlin, if you want to ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. Can you guys see me? I'm not sure. Oh, there I am. So in our work, we're finding unique and different ways to collaborate and partner. We're even doing some joint fundraising. And I'm wondering how you or the funders support collaborative efforts. Are you incentivizing partnerships, or are you offering the opportunity for joint applications, things like that?
A wonderful question, thank you. And I think I saw Johnny Moy raise his hand, so forgive me for crossing the stage. Johnny with Skyline Foundation, go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Johnny Moy. Use he, him pronouns, so I'll stand over here so it's a little easier for you. We place a heavy emphasis on population level change. So spaces like NCCPC can provide not just support for students in Northern California, but for the whole state. And as we think about state policies and federal policies or Supreme Court decisions that are having an impact on all of our students, we know a lot of states follow California's policies. So what we're able to accomplish here may have a ripple effect for the rest of the country. The how that we think about it is a multi-year general operating support, something that we hear constantly from grantees. The most helpful thing to do is just give as much flexibility to grantees as possible. So we all know that, especially with the pandemic. A lot of organizations, you guys know way better than us, that you've had to make shifts on a dime and really have flexibility to do what you want to do and what you need to. So that's how we feel like we can be the most helpful as a funder, is just giving as much flexibility as possible.
Wonderful, thank you for that, Johnny. And I just realize I haven't paused after the questions to see if anybody else wants to respond. So was there another question anyone wanted to react to before we move to the last question? All right, go ahead, Christina.
I'm trying to remember the first question.
What is one thing that caught your attention?
Yeah, hi everyone, Cristina, pronoun she, her. I'm the founder and CEO of a community-based organization called Central Valley Scholars, and I'm one of the new members at NCCPC, so I'm really excited. And what I honor most about this space is the opportunity for collaboration and for networking. And often as nonprofits in the nonprofit industrial complex, we see each other as the enemy, and we are not the enemy. We're here to do this work together. And it's really beautiful to be in this space. And I love how we're also able to enter authentically ourselves, especially me being a trans woman in education in the Central Valley. What does that mean? What is the work we need to do? And I'm just so excited to build partnerships with other orgs and other foundations that want to support students in the Central Valley and across California.
All right, and so I think we'll go to our fourth and last question that I believe our panelist Nadja has.
Thank you. You've heard a lot about what is possible when organizations collaborate through coalitions like NCCPC. Are funders open to the idea of funding direct services and collective impact?
Ooh, great question. We don't want to have to choose. Hannah has raised her hand, so Hannah Ma with Sagrado Philanthropies.
Hi everybody, Hannah Ma, she, her pronouns. We're currently with Sagrado. I'm also an alum of Trust West, so shout out to the Trust West team here. Sagrado, we're a local family foundation focused on Silicon Valley, so Santa Clara County, San Mateo County, and parts of southern Alameda County. And we have the privilege of supporting, I think, there's 10 partner organizations here. Grantee partners, hi, nice to see you all. And all of them actually are part of NCCPC as well. So we really believe, like Eloy said it, right? Partnerships can't be overstated, and there are things that we can do collectively that we can't do individually. So we do believe that, yes, system change is super important, but at the same time, we can't wait for, we can't not invest in all the immediate urgent needs that are faced by our communities and our students. So for NCCPC, we have a 3-year general operating support grant plus capacity building and emergency micro grants. And I'm actually curious if there are other funders here that are approaching their funding structure differently. I know different foundations have different funding parameters. And similar to what Lorna said, I'm happy to chat if any of you don't currently fund NCCPC but want to think about partnering with them.
Thank you. And is there any last responses? All right, let's welcome Dean Renee Alvarez from San Jose City College.
Thank you very much. My name is Renee Alvarez. I'm the Dean of Academic Success at San Jose City College. And before I say my statement, I have to say those sliders for lunch were delicious. I ate more than I should have. I've taken 2 home in my pocket, just so you know. So I just wanted to mention the importance of partnerships, particularly with campus partnerships. We mentioned that a couple of times today, and I just want to mention that Mayor came to San Jose City College to speak with me and the president, Dr. Rena Tomine, about a possible collaboration. How can you say no to Mayor? I don't know. Has anybody in here ever said that? I don't think so. But I will say that her enthusiastic commitment to student success and access is really compelling. And so after she left, the president and I were talking. It was like, should we partner with NCCPC? And after serious deliberation, in 2 minutes, we said yes. So it wasn't a matter of why or how, it was a matter of when and now. And so we are currently working with Mayor and her team at NCCPC to draft an agreement to really set the stage and example for other campus partnerships. We've become a steering committee member, it's important. But we're not waiting for that agreement to get in place. We've already invited Mayor and her team to join us at our recent dual enrollment convening that is a priority of the California community colleges. We also are in talks, I think the president is talking to you now about hosting the education forum for NCCPC, its members, San Jose City College, and other partners like San Jose State University. It is important that all the good work that we're doing, that we do so in a collaborative way and use each other's resources to make things happen. You know, just recently, I see our friends from Beyond 12 over Breakthrough, sorry. I was working with Beyond 12 on other things. So there's so many people that we work with. But that's right. So we just had an event for first generation students with Breakthrough on San Jose State University's campus. And it was an amazing event to see all these students rise up since the 8th grade and now going to college for the first time. Most of them are first in their family to do so. And so that's the reason why we do this kind of work. And it's important that we all talk to one another and see how we can leverage each other's expertise and resources to make it happen. So thank you for inviting me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Could we please give one round of applause, a big one, to our panelists, to everybody who shared out today. I hope you walked away with something you really learned that was new or something that inspired you. I welcome our panelists to take a seat if they'd like. You can keep sitting there if you want as well. But we're really grateful that you were able to hear from our members about the work that they're doing. So, exit ticket, again, if you didn't get the QR code and you got all these ideas and you heard Lorna say, talk to me, you heard Hannah say, talk to me, and you want to let me know, please use the exit ticket. Don't send me 10 emails right now. Use the exit ticket because that's the best, most simplified way that we can support you with follow-up after today. Let us also move now into calls to action. So you heard a lot of great information about what our members are doing, what they have achieved together. You heard about their different goals, continuing to champion AB 288, forming more partnerships, enhancing the partnerships we have with campuses like San Jose City College, UC Merced, Blue Shield of California. This is an opportunity for folks in the room. Members, we know you're committed, but those who aren't members, to just share one or two things that you think you might want to get engaged with us this year if you're not already engaged. Or if you are, please share with the group in what ways you plan to get involved with NCCPC. There's 4 specific opportunities, and then I'll bring back David Silver, who, as you saw, has fantastic energy, so he's the one that's going to help us facilitate calls to action. The first is to fund our collective impact and our members. I know that folks walked in and kind of checked in right away, but you might have seen there was a plethora of resources. Those are our members' handouts. They want you to know about them, so please grab resources about our members. But we're grateful at NCCPC to have had 21 different funders since 2019, individual donors, foundations, corporations, and we're grateful for those who are also supporting our members. Thank you to those funders who are in the room today with us as well. And as David mentioned, the steering committee has is our fundraising body as well as our governing body. It is because of our steering committee, I'm here as the executive director, we have a staff, and you have these convenings. So really want to thank the steering committee for, at the very beginning, it was 90% funded by our steering committee, 10% by foundations. And then that ratio is flipping, and that's incredibly exciting because we want to fund the expansion of this collective impact coalition. So we're raising $1.5 million to support NCCPC through 3 years, 2026. This year's already 80% funded, and next year's 40% funded. So thank you to our funders who've helped us to make that great progress. With your support, as David mentioned, AB 288, we can bring these toolkits to thousands of students, their families, providers, and campuses across the state. We can enhance our partnerships with Cal State East Bay, implement our partnership thoughtfully with San Jose City and UC Merced, and we can support state initiatives like the California Cradle to Career Data System and the Bay Area K-16 Collaborative. Number 2, grow our collective reach. We're not done growing. We are very excited to have 55 members, and we would love as many organizations who are working in San Mateo, who are working in San Francisco, who are working in San Jose, because we want them to benefit from this network of thought partners. And in Tagalog, we call them kaibigan. We want you to be at the same table with us working together. I can't echo enough what Christina just said. Like, we need to do this work together, and it's exciting that all of you are coming in vulnerable and authentic to do this work together. So please consider joining our coalition or introducing your grantees or your partners. We have college access and success programs, college and neighborhood promise programs, ed tech, cities. So we really encourage bringing as much folks to our table. Our goal is to expand to reach 300,000 students by next year. So we hope that you'll make introductions for us. Third, support our policy agenda as, again, AB 288. But you have our flyer. We have a 3-year policy agenda, and that includes things like continuing to invest in infrastructure for college promises and children's savings accounts and neighborhood promises. It also includes protecting our students' financial resources and enhancing the resources they need around basic needs, career development, housing, etc. And last, we want to grow our partnerships. So we would love for you to introduce us to more incredible colleges locally, like San Jose City College, who are ready, employers who want access to this beautiful, diverse pipeline of students who have been supported throughout their college journey by these organizations who care about them so much. So those are 4 opportunities. I hope that there's one that really jazzes folks up, but we would love to hear from you if you, on Zoom or here in person, would love to get engaged with NCCPC after everything you heard. So with that, I will bring back David, and I hope that y'all will let us know if you want to speak by raising your hand here in person or on Zoom. We need the mic for people on Zoom to hear you. There.
All right. So this is the fun part. It's like, it's like the fundraising event that you're at, you ate the stuff, you heard about it, now's the time to think about all right, what can I do? And again, it's not just about money, it's about all different ways everybody can get involved, which is part of why NCCPC is so special. So, first, I believe, and I don't know if we have it on the screen or not, there's a slide that has all our supporters, but there we go. Awesome. So this is a pretty cool group. So if you are in this group and you're like, I want to stay in this group, or if you're not in this group, you're like, I want to join this group, this is your opportunity to do that, to fund our collective impact. And I will say there's kind of 3 different opportunities to do that. So one is you can help us to close our $1.5 million gap. You can say I'm going to do a 1-year, or I'm going to, be like Hannah, and I'm going to do a 3-year. You can do whatever you want with respect to that. That's going to help us to make sure that those 1 million students that could be impacted by the scholarship displacement actually get their tools, and that all the things that you heard about today can happen and be expanded to more and more people. The second way you can do it is we have events, and I know a couple of you sponsored this event. If you want to sponsor an event that we have in the future so that we can lower our operating costs, that also helps a ton, and also there's different perks that you can have with that as well. And then the third thing, and this is a new one that Merrick talked to me about yesterday, that I think is just really interesting. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I don't know, in the 2 decades that I've worked in organizations, I don't know of any time when I've been a CEO or an ED or a program leader or whatever, where I actually, and I'm running the program, and I actually gave money to a coalition. And so all of these steering committee members that are up here, all the steering committee members that you heard about actually give $10,000. They either give or get $10,000. So I think that shows how important it is when an organization puts in their approved budget, that type of thing, or leverages a funder. So I think the idea is hey, if you're I'm already funding this organization, let me put in $10,000 more so they don't have to go into their operating budget to have that happen. That would be a way that we would love for your support too. Or you could just increase the gift in whatever way you want to the organizations, because they are the fundamental part of what we're having. So with those 3 or 4 or 5 things in mind, is there anyone here who would like to get off the sidelines and say, you know what? I was inspired by this, or I want to be like Hannah, or I want to be like Lorna, and I'm going to continue to commit, or I'm going to increase my investment, or I'm going to do something different than I did before. Anyone would like to share?
I believe that Lorna wanted to say one more word, potentially, yeah.
You'd think this was planned. I just want to, from a personal perspective to the funders in the room, part of my commitment to NCCPC was realizing that it really took a village for me to go to college, graduate from college, and be where I am today. So let's get creative in figuring out how we continue to expand our reach to other organizations, to more students. And if Dr. Cantor is still on the Zoom, an ode to what NCCPC can look like across the US in bringing people together so that we can work together and change more lives and continue to improve the college access and workforce development space for everyone across this country.
Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like Martha, Dr. Cantor has raised her hand on Zoom, so we welcome Dr. Martha Cantor, CEO of College Promise. You have to unmute, Martha.
I think, can you hear me now?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thanks, sorry for that. I just am so inspired by hearing what everyone is doing and thinking about. And I'll tell you from a national perspective, those who don't know College Promise, we started in 2015, but it started way before that. And it started by President Obama convening people to take on the work forward for America's College Promise. And sadly, after all these years, the federal government hasn't moved forward, and it's very hard to think about how they may.
We can't hear you, Martha. You went on mute. Not yet. We still can't hear you. Maybe we'll come back to you. Oh, you're on mute.
We're gonna call him.
Oh, is she unmuted?
I'm
All right.
unmuted.
There you are. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, Martha Cantor.
I'm sorry, I don't know why this is happening. Maybe it's because I'm on the East Coast. But I want to say a couple of things and give a shout out to the possibility, as we see it at the national level, for this coalition to become a model for other parts of the country, especially the parts, especially in rural America, places that are extremely isolated but want to do more for students, have promise programs but aren't connected. And I was so glad to hear that the Central Valley Scholars is here, because that's been a long time coming. And I remember when the Central Valley Promise started. And I think, to bring leaders together from places like Madeira to connect with Fresno, and then look at what NCCPC is doing and form that collective wisdom and use the toolkits and the model that you've created to really help more regions in California, but also let us take that forward nationally, which we're actually doing. So for example, one thing we did in June, we had Mayor become the keynote speaker for 12 national grantees that we partnered with the Kresge Foundation. So she was able to get introduced to what Kresge is doing, but people there were, for example, all of the organization that represents all of the state commissioners of education. It's called the SHIO organization. We had local promise programs talking. We had executives and government folks who also have grants, like the Bipartisan Policy Committee. They were there. So getting the voice of the regional impact and the regional possibilities for other parts of the country is really some way that we can contribute in our central work nationally. We're also publishing reports, and I'm glad to see Jennifer Iretti on the line, because she is doing the evaluation on the coalition, and I think that is critically important. And one thing we do say to every local or state program is start with evaluation, don't bring it in at the end. So one of the things we do is bring up case studies, and we brought up a lot of case studies on local programs around the country. Oakland Promise was a leader in that because they really went from birth through life, and that design, David and Mayor Schaaf and others, has really been something that many programs have heard from through our organization. The newest one, well, we've published new ones this summer, but one of them is called the Children's Savings Accounts Integration with College Promise. And I'm happy to say that Mayor and Barbara did a wonderful report with the help of Amanda Feinstein to look at what are the possibilities of Cal Kids joining up with not only the regional coalition, but state programs that offer promise opportunities to students. And the case studies are a way people can learn what's happened with Promise since 2015. We started tracking 53 programs and supporting those, and we now have over 425. And we started with one state, which was Tennessee, and now we have more than 30 states that are offering something beyond state financial aid. I think, from a bipartisan standpoint, Tennessee and Washington State are great examples, very different, but focused on really giving students a 2 and 4 year opportunity with tuition and supports. And not only tuition, we also say it's beyond the money. So those case studies are another way. We're hosting a webinar on August 17th. You'll all be invited. Mayor will be one of the speakers in that to talk about, what are children's savings accounts and how can they be seen as an integrated source of funding for students and overall to create the financial sustainability of local and state programs so that a promise really is a promise. So we expect to highlight the membership of the coalition and, the case study, the policy briefs that you did for us in 2001 to really see whether we can talk more about NCCPC as a national model. So those are some of the things that we want to champion on behalf of NCCPC. We're happy to talk to funders on why you should fund a regional coalition in addition to local programs. That is something we do. We're nationally funded, so we want to support programs that need the funding, whether they're in San Jose for San Jose City College or part of the regional coalition. But that's the kind of work we do. And just thank you for giving me the time, and thank you for, helping me understand ways that we can really help pull up. I think the scholarship displacement is something that, needs to be talked about at the national level. And I think there needs to be accountability, and those kinds of recommendations and policy can come from the regional consortium and can come from the work we do together. So thanks for the minutes to share this with you. I hope you're able to hear me now.
Thank you. Let's give it up to former Deputy Secretary for Barack Obama, Monica Johnson. All right, I think we have a couple other people who are ready to make some funding type of commitments or statements. Dora.
This feels like a fun to need. I need a paddle. I'll come up here so y'all turn around. Dora again from Excite Credit Union. Yes, we will commit to not sponsoring. It's sponsoring. I was gonna say co-sponsoring. Who's my co-sponsor? Someone here can co-sponsor with me. The Mayor's Circle. It's a great convening. Attended it last year virtually. Looking forward to in person.
Can we give it up for that? Thank you for that.
Secondly, we'll commit to continuing to bring additional partners like Alex. He also stepped away. Why do I keep There you are. Okay. Keep shouting out folks who step away right when they step away. Alex from Elevate Tutoring, a great organization providing free tutoring for programs like your own and the students that you serve. But thirdly, just specifically to what she was already talking about, when it comes to children's savings accounts, raise your hand if you know about Cal Kids. Okay, great. I thought it would be a lot of people in this particular space. We are at Excite Credit Union and our foundation are part of a coalition, the CSA coalition with Amanda Feinstein, who was mentioned, to provide children's savings accounts both through the vehicle of a foundation and the credit union. At the credit union, we have Step Up Savings, and that is an actual account at the credit union, like a bank account. But we also have one through the foundation, which is not a bank account. It's essentially like a scholarship. And through those two avenues, we've collaborated with the state treasurer's office and received funding in order to share information about not only that, but CalKids. Because as you can imagine, a program coming down from the state, hardly anyone knows about it. Yes, last summer there were letters sent home, but we all know that that's one single avenue of communication is not effective for reaching our families, especially in those rural areas. So it comes down to us who are on the ground, as they say, working with families to share that information. So we're actively doing that with CalKids in conjunction with the other two programs I mentioned. One is College in My Future, one is Step Up Savings. So I invite you to collaborate with us. As it were, in my department, we do financial literacy. We do ITIN lending. So for folks who don't have a social security number but have an ITIN, they can establish credit, all the same services as someone with a social security number with our credit union. So I welcome you to collaborate with us and allow us to be present for your communities through children's savings and other financial services in order to think about funding college, and specifically for CalKids too.
Let's give it up for Dora.
Thank you.
Now let me be clear. If you raise your hand, you don't have to do like Dora did and say, I'm gonna fund, I'm gonna grow, I'm gonna support the policy agenda. You don't have to do all of them. So, or like Martha did with the 1 and also the number 3. Are there any other people, when they think about number 1, when they think about how we can get those outreach out to the different communities and the students and the families to know about AB 288, how we can expand campus partnerships to UC Merced and to other San Jose City, how we can have workforce pipelines at Blue Shield or other things as well. Anyone else want to share before I get? Yes. This guy, by the way, he helped to raise $35 million a year for the next 30 years through Measure A, Oakland Children's Initiative, for all kids to have access to preschool and college as well. Go ahead, Alex.
Right back at David for helping lead that effort. And thanks, Dora, for inviting us to join this event today. So honored to be with so many inspirational and influential people. I'm the executive director of Elevate Tutoring. For those of you who haven't heard of us, we're an organization focused on driving real economic mobility for students and young people across California. Specifically, we serve low-income and first-generation college students in Santa Clara and Alameda County, and we also mobilize them to be volunteers and tutors for middle and high school students below them. I'm very excited today to announce our intention to join NCCPC as its newest member by the end of this week. And I believe that will make us member number 56. I think too often there's this false dichotomy between being able to move fast and being able to go far. I'm really optimistic hearing everyone talk today that together we can move faster and further because the need is here right now and there's a lot of work that needs to be done to make sure all of the students in California, the Bay, and around us here have the support and resources they need to thrive.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. All right. As you reflect on any of these 4, is there anyone who would like to share anything? Again, it's not just about funding, it's also about growth, the policy agenda, and also the partnerships as well. Anyone else? On Zoom or in the room? That rhymes. I thought maybe we'd get at least one from that rhyme. Anyone in Zoom, on Zoom, or in the room would like to share? Okay. So I also want to just say one thing I'm going to share as well as part of California Volunteers is that we are very supportive of NCCPC as well. Josh Friday, who is the Chief Service Officer for Governor Newsom, spoke at the member meeting in April. And one of the things, I was actually in a room 2 days ago with one of my former students, Chika, who just, and it was the day he got his diploma. He was my former first grade student, and he got his diploma from Howard University that day. We had a nice dinner, and it was great. And sitting next to me was Lota, who was his little brother, who was not sure if he was going to go to college or where he was going to go to college because of a gap. One of the things that California Volunteers can do is that there's something called College Corps, which provides $10,000 a year in a year for a student to be able to go towards their financial aid or other things as well that can help lower the gap to make sure that people can go. The challenge is a lot of people don't know about it. So one thing that we're going to do is make sure that all of you and your organizations know about that so that we can close the gap. And with that, I also going to say, one second. I want to close here. I want to close just to say thank you for everyone who joined us and made commitments today, and we'll follow up with you. And if you're the kind of person that needs to actually think about this a little bit more, and talk about it more, or go to your board or whatnot, totally cool. Please feel free to fill out that exit ticket or reach out, and Mayor's happy to talk to you as well. And then just anything that you want to do to get involved. This is not the end, but this is the beginning of something that, as Martha Cantor, the former Deputy Secretary of Barack Obama, said, is truly a model for the nation. And so with that, I'm going to pass it off to Rose. Before I do, I'm just so embarrassed that I have not shown off anything here in terms of open, so we'll see you at the happy hour.
All right, thank you, David. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone who shared ways that they want to get involved with NCCPC and our members. Before we close, we are very thankful to our sponsor, the Golden State Warriors, and other members and allies for providing 15 raffle items, together valued at over $2,000. These gifts are to thank NCCPC's members for their incredibly hard work last year, and the raffle items include a signed photo of Warriors guard number 30, Steph Curry, a signed jersey of Warriors forward number 5, Kevon Looney, 4 tickets to a 2023 regular season Oakland A's home game, decided backpacks from steering committee member Moneythink, gift bags from our co-host, Foundation for a College Education, and sweatshirts from Gap Inc. So, congratulations to some of these winners. Let's see, is there a slide with names on it? Yes. So, if you see your name, you won something. That's exciting. Stay tuned for a confirmation email from Heather with what you won and how to get it. We'll have 4 more winners during the happy hour, so we hope some of you will stick around and maybe you can also win something. So thank you again to all of you in the Zoom room and here in real life. Well, you're in real life too, but here in the CZI Community Space for joining our second Funders Convening. We're thankful to our co-host, the Foundation for a College Education, our sponsors, the Golden State Warriors and Capital Group, Eloy Oakley of College Futures Foundation, and our esteemed panel of members and committee leaders. Please don't forget to complete your exit ticket and let us know how we can partner together in the coming weeks and months. And be sure to check out the table up front with all the member resources near the entrance. So I hope that you'll make some connections or reconnect with folks that you've known in the past. And our formal program has concluded. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to end the Zoom here in Redwood City. We're going to transition to happy hour.